Hello and welcome to Korpse Talks. I'm looking at that camera. We're here with
Emporium.
Robbie and Charlie.
also known as.
I'm not playing your game. I watched the Burn one.
Oh fuck! I'm not in on any of the
No, you need to give us an AKA. You need to give us an alias.
Like what were the de facto names before it was Emporium?
It's always been Emporium.
Yeah, it's done being Emporium.
Damn.
I made a brand called Zeus for 20 minutes. Literally 20 minutes.
We save all our files to a file called Zeus in memory of Charlie's brand that never happened.
What happened to Zeus?
Nothing.
I had a meeting with some dude who's a friend. Still a friend, nothing's changed. It's just like,
Shout out James
I was
O'Connor.
like, yeah, shout out James O'Connor. I was like, on repeat, I was like, I want to start a brand. He was like, I also want to start a brand. We should do this. We met at Starbucks across the road. And then 2 weeks later, we were like, you ever gonna really get around to doing this? And I was like, hey Robbie, can I just make clothes under your name? And he was like, nah. And then after 2 weeks later, I was like, hey Robbie. He was like, maybe. And then 2 weeks later again, it was like, fine, you can make some clothes under my name.
Let's make a t-shirt.
Yeah.
And now look at yourself.
Now we got some. Now we got
shoddy shelves and a box wall.
a ton of boxes.
Yeah.
Let's hear a bit about yourselves.
Yeah, cool. I'm 23, had to think there for a second. Finished college in Trinity last year. I made some Facebook groups when I was 16 called Streetwear Ireland and Sneakerhead Ireland. And I met a lot of people through those who got me from being a basketball shoe geek through to running a brand with Charlie. Charlie being one of the people obviously I met through those. That's kind of me, really.
Where did we meet first?
Do
we meet
you used to
real
come into the
first?
shop all the time.
Yeah, did we meet real first that time I got drunk at that Brent Hollinsford?
Yeah, I got invited to a BT event because I was working there. He got invited to a BT event because he was actually designing for a company, and he showed up and was like, "Hey, I know you," and I was like, "Yeah, buddy," and yeah, there was drinks involved.
And I was like 16 as well.
Yeah, it was amazing.
And so how did that night turn out then? The first meeting of.
I think I spent a while chatting to him and then a while trying to avoid him because I was just running around drunk and knew nobody.
Yeah.
But from there it flourished into a beautiful
Beautiful
relationship.
I think that was like a year before we actually knew each other though.
Yeah.
Or like 6 months before we knew each
Yeah,
other.
and then he just kept coming into BT when I was working in Offspring. And from that point, I think we ended up at the same events a couple times. He showed up to the first Empo event, and probably a few months later we ended up going out drinking, and he more or less was just like, I think we should do this thing. And I was like, yeah dude, I'm down.
Was the first one Total Vintage?
First one's still vintage, yeah.
I think it was the following day. I was like, hey Robbie.
I think, yeah, the point where we properly agreed on it, we were sitting on some bench in, like by the canal. So it's like
Yeah, it was
canal.
probably a couple months later that we decided we were going to do something.
Yeah. And I had an idea for a t-shirt, but I had no idea how to design a t-shirt.
Oh, okay.
And this dude was designing t-shirts.
Yeah.
So
Was that one of like the pop-up events in Tala?
Yeah, so we did the first Tala pop-up,
Yeah.
and Charlie just like came by and was like, this is
I
cool.
pulled up. I texted you before. I was like, hey, you want any help setting up? I don't really know you, but
Yeah.
I want to get closer to that. And he was like, nah. And then I just pulled up, took like 4 bit hits on the left.
Yeah, I think I remember that, like, because I was in those like Facebook groups. I just never really did anything. I was just like, but I think I remember that first one. Was the t-shirt like a perfume bottle, like a cologne bottle?
that was
one.
Yeah, that was the first t-shirt we did.
Yeah.
And we did it like for an event. We did a Lucky's event, pop up there, and we were like, fuck, we'll just do a t-shirt. See what sells. And it did, and then we were like, shit.
Yeah. I remember that. I was gonna go down, and then it was just like, it's too far. It's in town.
Yeah.
And this is before I started hanging out in town. So coming from Balbriggan, it was just like going into town's like a full day.
That's a day trip, yeah.
I'm not making a day trip to go to a pop-up in Dublin 8.
Yeah, and like especially like when I was in like third or fourth year when I had no money, I was like, I'm just gonna go down and look, and then they're gonna be like, why is he just walking around here touching the clothes and just leaving?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that shit. Like, it's like you just fucking try. You're like so young. You're like,
Yeah.
I'm going out of my fucking bubble. I'm doing this today.
Yeah, and then I was like, maybe not.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's always like that second day, like, this is the scariest moment of my life, and literally nobody knows you're there. You're just walking around, like, everyone is staring at me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, in kind of I guess it would be a fair enough statement to say you guys are now one of the biggest brands in terms of development in Ireland.
Hopefully.
And
Thanks.
why do you guys think you have made it this far?
I think part of it is that we've been at it for, like, on a very minor level, we've been at it for a while, you know? Like, we started out really, really small, and it was basically just like, let's see if we can, like, for me, the event before I was, like, working with Charlie was like, let me see if I can do this. I was in first year in college. I'd, like, gotten into the whole thing, like, the whole streetwear culture kind of thing properly in my first year in college, and I was like, what can I contribute? So maybe I can do this. And we weren't in a rush, and we worked really slowly, gradually, and just got bigger. And then eventually there's been points where we've been like, are we going to take it this step more seriously? And every time it's been like, yeah, let's see if we can push this. And I think that's why we're one of the bigger ones now, because we've been doing that, and we've been consciously deciding to, like, keep trying to take the next step.
So then, kind of, do you think that as a team, it's always been like, how do you know where? Because of course you're more on the, like, design side, you're more on the businessy side. How do you guys know when you're, like, crossing over your boundaries almost?
I think we argue every time we're about to make a big decision. We're on
Yeah.
very different levels, and we come to a middle ground which seems logical.
Yeah. I'm like, when it comes to, like, boundaries and what we're doing, like, obviously it's not so much boundary based as, like, competency based. When it comes to design, I don't have the competencies that he has. I can't do the, like, illustration shit. I don't have the graphic knowledge that he does. But we make all our decisions together, even if it is 70-30 in terms of this graphic works, because he made it and he can make it way better than I can. So he's going to have more input on that than I am. But when it comes to business stuff, if that's my area of expertise, we're going to make the decision together, but we both have to understand what's going on.
We can sort of kind of tell each other no in our other grounds. We're pissed off at each other for 2 days. He's probably right after a while.
Yeah, and I think we both have enough respect for each other with regards knowing, like, what the other person can do, that, like, we're cool with getting pissed off at each other if that's what it's going to take to get us right. Like, that's what's going to happen. But at the end of the day, we both know where we're coming from.
So would you say that kind of because you guys have the two pages, you have the garment and then the documenting things, would you say that the documentation of, not documentation, but journalism and such is more so your forte?
I don't know, it's kind of where it started for me. Like, it was organizing an event, it wasn't running a brand. And I think that one of the things that, like, we have, like, a pretty cool, like, group that really follows us, and I think that we picked up a lot of those people around then. And it was from what we were trying to do for the culture as a larger project, and we've kind of, it started from there. So it's important to me to keep that going as a thing. So I pay more attention to that than Charlie would necessarily. But again, like, when we're thinking of who we're going to interview, or, like, what we'd like to do in that space, what pop-up's going to work, obviously that hasn't happened for a while, but it's all collaborative stuff.
Oh,
yeah.
Robbie also has a hilariously cool cult following with people who wear shoes.
I got a lot of love from the sneaker people, which is ongoing, which is cool.
What is the sneaker culture like in Ireland? Because I've never really been big into shoes in general.
It depends on the age group you're coming into it, right? So, like, there's certain people who are, like, there's dudes in their 40s and 50s who have been, like, doing it since they were, like, our
They're
age.
the coolest motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Every single one of them is just cool motherfuckers.
Yeah, and, like, some of them are just, like, understated, regular old dude, like, dads. Like, we have one dude who's probably watching this called Cliff, who has hundreds of pairs of shoes, and he buys a lot of our stuff because it reminds him of, like, the era that he would have kind of come up in. Yeah, he's a legend of the game. And there's dudes like that, and then there's the younger kids who kind of split between, like, resellers, like, hype culture people, and
Continue.
resellers, hype culture people, and then kind of, like, more kind of, I think our generation either goes in the resale hype culture direction or they go in, like, the fashion direction. And I think for myself, like, shoes have become steadily less important as I've, like, grown up, because you start to realize, like, do I need 40 pairs of shoes, or do I need, like, the, like, 5-6 grand that might be, and then, like, a regular amount. So I'm, like, transitioning.
I can mean what I mean.
Yeah.
There's a point where I was like, working shoes and just buying every pair of shoes I thought was cool coming in.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, what do I do with these 3 new pairs of shoes?
Yeah, because you get them and then you wear them like twice and then it's just...
They've lost their
Gone,
value.
yeah,
I don't even like them anymore.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
at the point where I was like, I'm not buying shoes unless these are the shoes I want for the next 6 months.
Yeah, but the sneaker culture in every context always kind of overlaps with streetwear culture, with like kind of underground music and the creative scene, but it gets over commercialized on one end always. So it's kind of like erring away from that.
So you guys obviously like you share a lot then in terms of interest in the fashion world. Where do you guys feel that you not disagree but you go further off? Like have you guys ever had conflicting arguments on like where Emporium should go in terms of what you make?
Hell yeah.
As pure like
Yeah, of course. But it's like through the arguments that you end up with what the overlap is. Like in my head it's more like I'm more culturally what does this mean than Charlie. He's much more like shape, design, like but when you like unless you're gonna hash those things out, you're gonna end up with really cool design that means nothing or something that means something and looks like absolute dog shit. So like if you can meld those two things together, you just created the right thing.
It's sort of like I'll go and like make a t-shirt I think is the best shit ever, like makes thing really like there's a fucking stage where I like designed this huge full collection, like printed full denims and all. We at the time there was no way we were gonna be able to produce this. We didn't have any ability, and like you wouldn't be able to produce that. You'd be having to produce like, hundreds of this shit. And there was like 3 people who would ever wear it, and one of them was me. Robbie was like, "Where is that going?" And I was like, I'm aware it's cool and we're making it.
Like I think the point we've gotten to now is being able to understand that like when I'm like, that's not going to work, it's like I still respect the design, I still respect the effort and the intent, but like we can't functionally have that happen. And then I'll come to him with concepts and he'll be like, those are cool, but what the hell is like that's the worst thing I've ever heard. So I think it's obviously the same, I presume, with you guys in terms of like creative partnerships. Like if you both just say yes to each other on everything, you're probably screwed.
Exactly.
Like unless you both happen to have unholy amounts of experience in the thing and you're both just right.
But I think the difference with us is that like whereas you do like mostly from what you're saying, you do most of the design stuff like that, like we split it like pretty much 50-50. I think like the first t-shirt was my design, the hoodie was his, the polo was mine, the hat was a collab, this was mine. I don't even know what else there was. The other t-shirt was his, so like it's kind of 50-50. And then same with like the obviously up till now I've done most of the photography and stuff like that, but even the edits on some of the stuff, it's 50-50 as well. Like he edits photos and he edits like he did the poster for this podcast season and stuff like that. So I think it's more 50-50. But I think he's also probably more business minded than I am. I'm not very good.
Well, like even for like the stuff that we got coming out, it's like this was like probably more me, and then like the hoodie logo would be more Charlie, and like I would kind of just come to him with concepts that I can't finish. And he'll just nail them. So
will you like try and design something, and then if it's not working out, get him to do it?
I'll try and design something. It'll come out like 25% to 50% as good as it should, and then I'm like, Charlie, please finish
it.
And then he'll like actually just do it properly. Like a lot of like some of our logo stuff, like I would have like sketched a terrible version of that and been like, hey, can you can you do this? And he's just like, yes, I can do that. Of course I can do that.
Give me 10 minutes.
So stuff like that kind of.
So then where do you see kind of your main restrictions? Like, well, and it's a very like broad question, but in Ireland in general, do you feel that as a brand the people aren't where everybody else is, if you get me, in terms of interest in fashion and willingness to try?
Well, I mean, like it's audience and being able to find an audience.
I don't think it's not those people are forced to like you. You have to find the people who will like you.
And I think it's actually kind of like it's been pretty great in terms of word of mouth. And like the people who do follow us on social, like of the people who follow us, most of them really like our stuff and buy our stuff. And I think a lot of companies have huge followings and low like rates of actually people participating in their stuff. And that's been huge for us, but it's hard when you don't have a crazy huge budget to figure out like, are we gonna spend like most of our money trying to nail these products and like doing full cut and stuff, or are we going to spend like a huge amount of money marketing ourselves, which we have very little information about how to do properly,
Yeah.
and like
Loads of no
making
experience.
and making product that's going to be substandard because we can't spend the money on it, you know.
Yeah.
So it's that's kind of the main thing for us, and we're starting to, as we're taking it like the next level of serious is like figuring that kind of stuff out. It's not only expanding our range and like making pretty much everything cut and sew, but it's also like figuring out how to market ourselves, figuring out how to reach the people we aren't reaching yet, and like how do you do that on a level that's going to make you a big enough business with a big enough customer base to do this as a real job.
Yeah, exactly. It's like we can make the best clothes in the world, but if no one knows
It exists, What's the point?
Yeah,
we got like 4 months on us and then we're just like broke. So
I noticed that you guys actually used, was it G and Marcus Shelley for the last shoot. Why did you go, like, do you feel like, of course you guys could have like reached out to just like the biggest influencers, whatever, but why did you go with people who were close to you and people that you respect as artists to model for you?
That's kind of always been our thing.
I just like hanging out with the boys, and if we're
Yeah.
shooting,
Yeah.
I'm not there to fucking sit there with someone I don't know being like, we need a shot from this angle. It's like, Chrome comes along, takes 20 pictures, we all do a bit of fucking laughing, and we'll go somewhere cool. Like, it's like, the last shoot we did was up in the mountains.
I saw that. I was wondering where that was actually.
During the 5K restriction.
During the 5K restriction, there was like 6 of us from all different parts of the country, got in a tiny car, extremely hungover, and went up the mountains. And the whole plan was we were going to this, so it was the vintage car t-shirt. We were going to a vintage garage, and everything was like, there was like news articles because there was like no vintage garage. And it was like, this garage closed in April of this year. Very sad. It's been open 100 years, and I was like, ain't no way they've got rid of everything in like 2 weeks. We showed up and it was just 2 skips. And I was on the directions and I was really hungover and I took us all the wrong ways to get there in the first place. So we'd seen a load of cool shit in the way and we're like, we're just gonna go back that way. We saw the cool shit and just climb up that mountain until we find something that looks alright. And it worked out. I think it's it's my favourite shoot to look at.
It's a sweet editorial.
Yeah, the shots up the hill were phenomenal.
Yeah, I like them.
Chrome does know how to take pictures.
He does indeed.
He's an absolute beast at it.
Yeah, Reese too.
I get so mad at Chrome.
Yeah. He texted Charlie that morning. I was in work and he texted Charlie being like, hey dude, I'm not making it. Could we do like tomorrow? And Charlie just texted me being like, oh my god.
It was me just calling him and I was like, no.
So I got his address from my emails and just sent it on to Charlie being like, go kick his ass. Show up.
Yeah, it was like, it's just, the one thing about the boys is like, it's gas and all, but it's like, it's harder to, it's not as professional. One negative, it's like, we're trying to shoot these tees for Saturday, hopefully, but it's like,
You're
3 no's, 3 yes, and the photographer might be on the day being like, I'm kind of hungover, so let's not do it now.
Yeah,
and
minus point for professionalism, but big plus for like getting to work with like your homies.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what it's like. I think streetwear as like a subculture especially is kind of focused on like making stuff that's relevant to you and your group. So you should probably make it with your friends.
I also think when you're working with people that like you, like for me anyway, when I'm working with people, if I'm getting on with someone at a shoot, whether or not I've met them before, it always comes out better than if it's like a little bit awkward. So
it's not staged or anything. It's just like you're doing it with.
So when you're working with your friends and stuff like that, I feel like it's always going to come out better. Well, for the most part, like
when we shot Evan and Mark, they knew each other really well. They'd shot before together. And me and Robbie just stand in the background and they were so fucking good together.
Yeah, they sound it. Yeah, we were like, we should go here, here, and here, and they were like, awesome. And they just did the rest. It was amazing. Yeah.
We just looked like weird bystanders.
They're sick as well, though.
Evan Cahill is a bad man.
He's so cool.
Yeah. No,
I just want to hang out with him all the time.
Yeah.
So in kind of like, I feel like in fashion there's a lot of elitism over like streetwear and like whether it is fashion or not.
Elitism or elitism?
Elitism. Like kind of, especially with high fashion people, they're like, oh, it's just whatever. It's just casual wear.
I think that's
where do you guys view it?
I think it's grown to the point where they're completely different things.
Yeah.
It's like it begun that like streetwear grew out of not clothing. It was like out of basketball, skating and shit. It was like, it didn't start as something that was clothing. It was started as other things that people were like, we want to stand out by like making it different.
Yeah.
We want to be different.
It's subcultural expression, and it's grown into being its own big segment of fashion.
I understand why people with fashion be like, fuck that though.
Yeah, but it's not like I think it's when it's at its truest form. It's not even really. We're not trying to be high fashion.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody who is in true streetwear is trying to be high fashion. I think it's regarded as a different sphere, and if anything, I think people from the kind of high fashion world dabble into it more than anything. You know?
The fact about it,
Yeah, it's like the resource pool for them in terms of ideas,
Yeah.
because it's where fresh, original stuff's coming from. So yeah.
So yeah, I think it's tough to say because like high fashion is now doing streetwear constantly.
Yeah.
Louis Vuitton, Off-White, and high fashion can't be construed as things. It has to be considered as things that just cost so much money, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, even Virgil being like in his position, Louis.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
He started off with Pyrex like streetwear. So
exactly, he is
it's
a
like-
streetwear.
exactly,
Streetwear
yeah.
from Hell and Hell.
Yeah.
So then was it just kind of a natural gravitation towards streetwear? Like, did you guys just like take what you were wearing anyways and be like, we'll build on this, or was it like an over?
Well, for me, like I don't know about Charlie, like getting into it really, but
Like, we're
for,
different from this.
for me, it was like I was a basketball player, and I was pretty good when I was younger, so it was my whole life.
Yeah.
And like it literally came from being into basketball shoes and seeing what like not even what basketball players were wearing. I didn't care about what anyone's wearing in the tunnel on the way to a game or shit like that. It was like what people were literally warming up in. I thought was the coolest shit. All the 90s and like 1000 stuff my brother had kept from what he used to play, which was like a double X, and I'd be wearing that, and like I thought it was the coolest shit ever, regardless of if it looked whack. And that's kind of where like my interest came from, was through there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think I have a more fashion-based background, and so I moved towards it. As in, like, my mum was a seamstress and stuff. I think I definitely took some style from her, kind of thing. And my best mate's mum, hope Emma's watching this, is a legend of the game, and she just loves fashion. She buys into fashion. It's just her thing, like. And I think I just took a lot of time from both of them, and I think I don't know, I think at some points I'd maybe like to do more high fashion, but I don't know. Over time it's getting less like that's what I want to do. It's more just I'm doing whatever I'm doing at the time. Kind of thing.
So then, in terms of like inspiration, because of how like heavily influenced streetwear is by like US, of course, like kids in New York or kids from London, which is more so nowadays. How do you capture Ireland and put it into your work? If you get me.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it is like making stuff that you think is like not necessarily including the Irish part of it, but making stuff that you think is classic and uniform being part of like making a brand, and then the other part being trying to feature, obviously for us like and for everybody in the streetwear realm really, it's through graphic content. Trying to make stuff that references like things that are relevant to you, but at the end of the day, if you're Irish and you grew up here and you've lived here and your friends are all hanging out in the same places and you see what people are wearing and how people are like kind of conducting themselves, what the city's like, you're always going to come at everything with like a Irish ground perspective. So it's always going to end up being tied back to here in some way, shape or form, because your lens was developed through here. Yeah.
So would you say that it's more timeless to Ireland, or it's like a specific era that you guys are inspired from, like purely from when you were growing up? Or kind of?
I think it changes a bit, but a lot of it's to do with vintage and stuff. That was weird. Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of it's kind of vintage sportswear stuff is kind of the starting point for a lot of the more like simple classic stuff we do. And then stuff that's kind of happening around us at the time is kind of more relevant for some of the like more obvious graphic things.
The thing is, we both played sports all our life.
Yeah.
What sport did you do?
I played a lot of football.
Like soccer?
Yeah.
Same, yeah. I played up until I was like 15, but
I played until I was like college. Until I played until I started working.
Yeah.
And then I just started not having Sunday mornings, and then I just
yeah.
wish I didn't grow away from it, and I keep saying I go back, and I go to.
Who did you play for?
Arc Celtic and Docky.
Oh, okay. I played for Home Farm, but then I had to focus on running, so I had to quit. But
Oh, yeah, you know.
Yeah, I think a lot of our stuff comes from like as well just having like we're always growing up going to sports stuff.
I think it was like I think we spoke about it with G on the podcast, but I think it's a really good background to have for like creating stuff, and like for like when sort of like when you, I don't know, like it helps you persevere a lot, especially if you're really into it. I think like the kind of determination and like hard work that takes really helps with like running a brand, I think.
Yeah, and like
it just teaches you to.
Yeah, like how to live really.
Yeah.
It's, I think it's the best thing you could like get brought up doing is probably playing a sport, because you're gonna deal with everything, especially if it's team stuff.
Yeah.
Everything from like like following direction, being coached, to like maybe being a leader of a team.
Exactly.
And how you're gonna deal with like trying to keep a group of people afloat. So
Also being healthy.
I'm being healthy.
Yeah, true.
Healthy body, healthy mind. Body's a temple.
Your health is your wealth. My body is a temple.
Charlie's body, for reference, is not.
My body is absolutely.
Tell me there's 8 pizzas.
My body's a temple. There's no equivalents.
Yeah.
So would you feel like with that approach then there would be a bit of competitiveness between you two?
Oh yeah, we're competitive as hell.
Yes, hell.
Yeah,
We're like pissed off at each other all the time.
Yeah, and we desperately want to be successful as like as a company and as individuals as well as that, you know. Like we both want to be successful and run a successful company that like, you know, does what we expect it to, which is become like more than just relevant in Ireland. But to be relevant everywhere, hopefully. But as individuals, you know, like I want to be a successful like production person when it comes to clothing and like business, and Charlie wants to be a successful designer. And we're competitive about that with our peers, which is healthy, to like what we think we could do like on the bigger stage. So
what's it called? What were like the big moments for you guys, like individually? What was like your favourite moment of Emporium so far?
That's a good fucking question.
That's a good fucking question. Yeah.
I don't know, bro. I feel like you've had more big moments. Well, like you've had the whole pop-ups done yourself. Like that's monumental. That's monumental.
Yeah.
Monumental, is that word? That's not the right word.
No, it works. Yeah, I don't know, like
What do you think?
the first thing for me was running the first event, and that was going from a point of knowing nobody properly. Like I'm like we'll call it professional, but you know, this is hobby. But I'm like a professional, like working together level, not knowing anybody, never having run an event, never being responsible for that level of thing and making it happen, and having people like fuck with it. As much as I generally don't care what people think most of the time, obviously the opinion of a respected few is huge. And when people come to something like that, like we had too many people in it. That was the problem. Too many people showed up, and I was like, oh holy shit.
So I knew we were forgetting the main thing. We sell in Tribe.
That's what
I knew there was something. I just couldn't put my finger on. That was cool as fuck. Going into a store and like
seeing your stuff. That's crazy.
It's like the external validation of being like, yo, not only do we like make clothes we like, the shop likes them. And then people went into the shop and they bought the clothes.
So every time I've been in there, I've watched someone buy our stuff.
Irrelevant
of
that's
being
it.
there.
That's it.
Yeah, I walked up there the other day just to literally drop in, like, I'd forgotten 4 things from their order. So I was like, yeah, here are those 4 and someone was just buying a t-shirt. And I was like, mate, do I say something to this dude? Like, do I go, hey man, cool t-shirt? Like being in work and seeing people, like when I was working on the floor in BC, seeing people wearing t-shirts.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you see people walking around in it much? Like,
First time walking around town and you see somebody's t-shirt.
Especially when you're like, I don't know who the fuck you are. That's always a great feeling.
Man, like every single night at the canal, I see someone in like a hat or a t-shirt or a jumper or something, and I'm always just like, my jumper's at home.
No, it's cool. It's cool to hear about people being like, yo, I bought this Emporium hoodie, and when I walked in the street, people go, hey, Emporium, and then point to the thing they're wearing. Like people who don't know each other basically getting like into this kind of club kind of.
Like the coolest shit is if someone sees me in Emporium, they're like, oh, fucking nice Emporium, and then you're like,
I designed
this is
bitch, I've done that.
I was up at a basketball court recently, playing with a couple of my friends, and we were just like getting changed into our shit, and someone was like, yo Robbie, I'm pointing over a kid playing basketball with my t-shirt.
Oh nice.
And I was just like, you doing the thing I like? I'm like, amazing. So yeah, shit like that.
So then how much would like people styling it and people, I'm sure like people want to wear like certain fits, how much would that inspire you guys to hear like that kind of feedback of somebody's bought something that you guys have made and they're putting it into their own life. Are you guys?
It's cool to see people like wear it with like a fit that you appreciate.
Yeah.
Like obviously, if you're making a brand, you always want to think that like cool people are gonna buy it. But like it's cool to have a blend of everybody from like person who's like casually interested through to like people who are like throwing it on with a pair of like really cool vintage cords, or like some random dad who's actually cool as hell.
Yeah, that's what I kind of love. Is like we don't have that many people. A lot of our customers are just people who fucking wanted to buy a cool T-shirt kind of thing. We don't have many people that are like posting pictures of our T-shirts every day on Instagram and stuff. And I'm that's as cool for me as like you're just wearing our shirt just on your own.
Yeah,
like, even cooler.
I don't need you to think that this is the coolest thing in the
Yeah,
world.
I don't particularly even want you to think that. I just
Yeah.
want you to be like, I'm gonna wear this T-shirt today. I'm gonna put it.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, what was the worst Emporium fit? Have you ever seen someone wear Emporium? And you're
anything
like,
that
what
I wear when I'm going to go play basketball is probably the worst. I think that's.
I think our problem with our
Pretty
fleeces are, the fleeces we did are way too comfortable.
Yeah.
They're like actually just too good.
Yeah, you might see someone in pajamas.
Yeah, just full pajamas with
And
that
the fleece, and you're like, huh, crap. Yeah, there's shit like that, but yeah, I don't think I've ever seen anybody do it worse than me, to be honest.
Yeah, fact.
Yeah.
So then what was the most kind of surprising, like without like name dropping or anything, or feel free to if you want, but like what was the most surprising community that you've seen kind of appreciate your clothes?
Oh, there was a really weird thing last year where a friend of a friend bought a T-shirt off us, and she has a pretty considerable following online. So her following ended up becoming like infatuated with this T-shirt. And we were just like, whoa, this was unexpected. We sold out. It was girls, so like we sold out of small sizes instantly, and we were like, oh crap. And then we started selling out like large as XLs and a double X, and we was like, I don't really want the T-shirt. That was pretty weird. That was a weird little bit of being embraced, but it was cool. It was cool nonetheless.
It sort of teaches you how much actual people are influenced.
That was like our we've never really done influencer marketing.
Have you ever given anyone free clothes unless it's like the homies?
Pretty much no. Yeah, so we were just like, so that's how that works.
Yeah, the
that's
influencers is crazy. Like,
it's nuts.
Because we haven't done it with the brand, but like with my photography, if I've ever taken photos of like an influencer or someone, like the followers,
exactly.
And you're like, but I'd never follow someone based on those things. Like if I saw someone in a cool T-shirt, maybe. I one time ever, Magnus Ronning put up a T-shirt and it looked really cool, and I was like, I'm gonna fucking buy that T-shirt.
I think I'm influenced by influence. If I see some cool shit, I'm influenced by influence. I've seen some cool shit. I'm like, I'm gonna follow that, or like I'm just following that to be sure I'm saving it to have there.
No, I understand like going and buying a T-shirt based off seeing someone else wear it really cool, but like. This is just like I've taken like a normal photo on film of some like random person and just like I'm gonna follow this person for no reason. Yeah. So I don't get that, but I get buying something that looks cool.
Yeah. When it's an objectively good product, is when I think it should like that. That's when it like should work, right?
Yeah,
so it's like if you make something that's really good, can I get one of those? Double sound. When it's an objectively good product. And like you just need to like get the word out. That's when it makes sense. I don't get when people make something that is like, I mean, I'm sure they don't think it's shit, but when it's shit and they like send it on to influencers and it's like, mate, like come on, is this really gonna do anything for you right now?
I feel like with influencer marketing it's weird because most influencers don't actually care about fashion. They'll just follow like TikTok trends or something, or they'll go after like some wave almost.
Yeah, and they're just trying to make like content.
I think it's hard to tell as well because they obviously. You don't just become an influencer, they've obviously come from a background. Yeah. But they've probably been sucked in by like the money, I guess, and fame, maybe whatever they're into. But like they have to come from somewhere which is along the lines of. Yeah.
And I think for some people as well, if they start to feel like their relevance is fading and they get sent something, they're like, oh, let me take a picture in this and tag the people who sent it to me. Not because I'm getting a check, but because I need to seem like I'm getting a check. Which is interesting. Like seeing people, there was a whole thing where it was like influencers are faking product placements, and it's like, what?
That's crazy.
That's so crazy. Like, well, why would you? I mean, it makes sense on some level, but like, what the heck?
Yeah, that's weird.
Is this where we're at? Like,
how can you fake an advertise? Like, but surely not.
They were putting up like paid partnership with, and like that
Oh,
brand would like
imagine getting
clearly
tagged
not.
in that though.
I hear shit all the time. It's like people are like, yo, I just got sent this by X. I saw one of them real bad the other day. I'm not gonna do anything. But like it's so blatant.
Yeah,
I always find it so blatant.
You bought that.
But yeah, imagine waking up in the morning and it's like someone like just tags like got
I'm
this for
gonna start
free
doing
off
that.
Emporium. You're like,
I'm gonna
what
start
the
doing that.
fuck?
That was so fucking funny. I'm gonna be like, at Emporium, thanks for the new hashtag ad.
I think we could start doing that, and people might start like sending it to each other in private chats, being like, "These dudes they're fucking lying on the ground." That's crazy. Who lies on the internet, man? That's crazy.
So do you guys collaborate much then when it comes to the clothes? Like, have you ever
With other
considered
people,
it?
or
Even like fine artists or anything kind of.
not so far.
Mm.
No, everything's been us so far.
I
Am
got
I forgetting anything?
Emma's mum to make us a graphic once we never used.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm getting to make a graphic we are going to use at the minute.
One of
That
our
is
friends,
accessible.
one of our friends told us that we should do a rhinestone T-shirt once,
Mm.
and then we did rhinestones.
Yeah.
And then
Let's
we
just do rhinestones.
remember Abby. Abby went to you and was like, "You should make a rhinestone T-shirt." And you were
I
like,
said it before.
Abby sounds very masculine.
Yeah.
Nah, Abby's also A1.
Yeah, it was cool as fuck. There's no way she sees this.
Hell, not a chance. Sorry, Abby. Yeah, no.
I was rhinestone boy. Don't take my thing away from me. Maybe you're right though.
I think she did say that.
I
Connor
went
references that all the
through
time.
my phase as well of just rhinestones every single day on everything.
Mm.
But,
Yeah.
And then I bought the hoodie as well, so
Do you have the hoodie?
yeah,
It's a
yeah.
phenomenal hoodie.
It's a sick hoodie.
Yeah.
But I'm not finished the rhinestone phase.
Yeah, no, it's not.
No, I'm not. I know.
Yeah.
I just bought the hoodie like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I'm not done.
Why rhinestones actually? Like, there's something inspired in specific.
I think rhinestones are fucking cool.
Yeah.
It's like just there's nothing like to not. It's like just out there enough, but it's not like
Yeah.
I will have big holes in my trousers. It's like
Yeah.
I've got a lot of sparkly things. I also think it's ironic though, because I think I sometimes push it because a lot of my old friends used to be like unstylish, like not unstylish. They just didn't care at all.
Yeah.
That's right, misworded. And every time I go hang with them, they're like, "What are you wearing?"
Yeah.
Oh
And then
god,
it
I
got
used
to
to
the
get that a lot.
Yeah,
too,
so
yeah.
often.
Yeah.
And then it got to the point where I was like, "I'm a push it.
Yeah,
How far can I
yeah.
go?" And it's past the point where they're like, "What are you wearing?" They're
Yeah.
like,
Yeah,
Kind of fresh, and you're like,
Interesting.
yes.
"You've been tricked by the top."
Yeah.
Yeah, but some of the like rhinestone designs I've seen from like American companies and stuff are crazy. And there's one called I think like Reckless Scholars. Or
I
something
knew
like
you
that.
were gonna say that.
Yeah,
That
that's
shit's phenomenal.
that is crazy.
I don't. Yeah, I just don't know how to do that yet.
How,
I
like,
could.
how
but
could you, but like I don't even understand how you go about that. Like it's
we
just,
do get to buy the rhinestones in shapes though, so like
oh, okay.
they come.
Preset.
But like if I had
Yeah.
enough time,
Yeah.
I could be like, "This is the distance I need,
Mhm,
this shapes, and how I get it on X."
Yeah. No, but
Yeah.
their stuff is mad. Like I don't know, it's like just a big massive one.
I can't tell if I really like it or really hate
I
it.
don't know if I particularly like it, but I just appreciate how
zipper putties.
crazy it is. Like, but it's just like it's like a big like gargoyle, like the whole length of the jumper just rhinestones.
Oh,
like,
that's kind of nuts.
it's
And they're on
crazy.
half zips as well, which
Yeah,
is
they're on half.
So you
really
need a-
difficult
see- oh.
to get
Yeah.
on. Like get the you'd be hand ironing
You'd
that,
have to use like a tiny iron.
Yeah.
or you'd be like have the most specific heat press.
Yeah. And a lot of patience.
Yeah.
It's coming up to my park and being done.
Alas.
but we
have finished it on rhinestones.
well, there has to be a part 2 since we have to cut it short at some stage.
Calm.
How much is the parking?
It's not even expensive. It's just that it's running out.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do we finish? Is that?
It's still it's recording.
We're finished on something cool.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I feel like
do a trick for the last
Do
one.
a lightning
Ever
round.
do a party trick?
I just mean like it's just like can't just cut out at the side.
Do you guys have any closing statements?
Yeah.
Sounds like an interrogation.
To promote.
Oh, I
Any
forced this
evidence?
upon myself.
Or you can give us something to promote, or you have to give us like a quote, like
Can we-
some life advice.
Can we get
Shout
a
out my IG guys. Everyone follow me, please.
Can we get a haiku each actually?
Oh, cool.
575.
Oh, I can't do that right now. I'm on the spot. I need a pen and paper.
I don't even know
Time
what
to
haiku
reflect.
is.
It's a poem. It's 5
poem.
words, 7 words, 5 words.
Oh,
Yeah.
damn.
Yeah.
I don't have a haiku.
Haiku about
Um,
rhinestones.
Oh Jesus Christ.
575.
Yeah.
These ain't diamonds, bitch. These some rhinestones. Shut it, Zach Fox. Jesus Christ. That's irrelevant. we've got a new collection coming out.
You can count them while you're doing it.
Let him tell us about the collection. Let's tell us about the collection.
We've got a new collection coming out, and it's drop 2. Yeah, delivery 2, which is obviously here. Of
By the
our.
time people see this, it's hopefully
Oh
very
yeah,
much
this
definitely
should,
going to be
out.
out.
Hopefully, yeah.
4
And
weeks.
if we still have units, which we might, please buy it. We are dropping oversized pocket tee with the ARC logo, boxy fit hoodies, and one more t-shirt that we do not have out right now, I don't think. And it's all cut and sew, all pre-shrunk,
Nice.
which is actually new for us. Before it was garment wash, but now it's like pre-shrunk.
It's
So,
phenomenal.
yeah, it's Charlie's wearing it right now, as you can see. I'm
Beautiful.
wearing
Just
delivery
did
1.
That's not coming out.
Yeah, it's not coming out. That's coming out soon. We are hopefully going to be taking this as like a pretty much full-time job by the end of summer.
Sick.
Is the hope. And yeah, I don't think we've got anything too crazy that
Peace.
we can talk about.
I'm out.
We might have some crazy stuff, but actually we could do a part 2 if a couple of
yeah,
things come to
yeah,
fruition. But yeah, and parting advice: start today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drink beers in the
Scary,
sun.
yeah.
Drink beers in the sun.
Yeah.
This has been Korpse Talks Season 2. I don't know what episode this is.
4.
With Emporium. Swag.
Peace.
God.